Hello, Accelerators. Today on 0 to 100, I'm very proud to introduce Ty Crandall. He is an internationally known author, speaker, and business finance expert. With over 20 years of experience, he is looked at as an authority in all things business credit, scoring, and financing. He is also a two-time best-selling author. His books, Perfect Credit and Business Credit Decoded, are leading books in the field. Today, he sits as CEO of Credit Suite, a leading authority and advisor to companies on business scoring and building business credit. We're going to cover some awesome topics that are going to take your business to the next level. Business credit. What is it? How do you create it? How do you become more attractive to a lender and become fundable? And most importantly, because this is what the secret that the big dogs do, is how you use business credit to create more profitability in your business. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Jared Guy Randolph. I am the founder of BoxFi. We are a business growth solution through payment processing, and I am very excited to share my 25 years of entrepreneurial experience and my network to help you grow your business and ultimately become more profitable. Ladies and gentlemen, let's accelerate together. Ty Crandall, thank you for joining us on 0 to 100 today.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So we're going to have a very dynamic conversation, which I think is going to be super, super helpful to our audience of entrepreneurs and business owners. We're going to talk about business credit. We're going to talk about funding and all the fun things around that helps your business be more profitable. Before we kick into the nitty gritty, Ty, in general, what is business credit?
I just want to say that you just said one of the sexiest sentences I've ever heard when you combine business credit, funding, and profitability all in one sentence. I just wanted to start with that.
Yes.
Ultimately, when we look at business credit, you're basically talking about credit meant for a business that's linked to its EIN. So, you're obviously familiar with consumer credit. Credit links your social that you're using to buy cars, mortgages, consumer credit cards. Business credit's similar. It's just a credit profile and score that a business uses to be able to go out and get loans, credit lines, business credit cards, even qualify for real estate as well.
So with the business credit, is it completely, all right, I've set up, gone through whatever the process is, which we're going to talk about. Your social security number, your personal credit does not come into play at all?
So it shouldn't if you do it correctly. And that's why we're talking today, right? A lot of people do it incorrectly. And so when you supply a social, well, there's a couple different answers to that. As of 2018, the government requires a social to verify your identity. They want to know that you are the owner behind the business. But the problem is that when you're using a social to apply for credit or financing for a business, then you're also typically attaching a personal guarantee, personal liability linked to you as a signer. When you're building business credit the right way, you're building your credit profile and score that's linked to your EIN. You are not a signer. You are not personally liable for that business debt. There is no consumer personal credit check. The approval is not based on personal credit quality, all when you're building business credit the right way.
So how long does it typically take for you as a business owner to build that business credit, to go out and get a loan, a line of credit, whatever it may be?
Well, it kind of depends on what you're looking to get. So if you're looking to get, $40,000 limit credit card through Visa, MasterCard, through a store, you can start getting that credit right away. So if we look at our clients, for example, our clients are usually getting their first approvals within the first week. And the first approvals that they're getting are ranging from, let's say, $1,000 to $3,000. Then once those accounts report to the business credit reports within 30 days, and within 30 days, they're jumping up to $5,000 to $10,000 limit accounts. And those are accounts like vendors, stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, Apple, for example, Best Buy, you name a retailer, they're in that category, fuel stations, things like that. Usually, our clients are getting to the end of the process in about 4 to 6 months. And the end of the process, you're getting hundreds of thousands in auto financing. You're getting Visa card, MasterCard, or what we call universal credit. You're able to get all of that without a personal guarantee and credit check. But the reality is it never stops. As you continue to build business credit, then lenders start to see the credit history. Then you start to be able to get credit lines and loans, not just exactly based on business credit, but business credit is helping make it significantly easier for you to get those kind of financing. And then you have to have really well-established business credit to be able to get, away from personal guarantees on major loans like SBA, things like that, which sometimes takes years to get.
Gotcha. So I'm a business owner and I come to you and I say, Ty, I'm ready to set up business credit. What does the process look like that I'm going to go through with you? What do I need to have prepared when I walk through the door?
Well, to walk in the door with us, nothing. I mean, ultimately, what we're really good at is helping a business owner from inception or just launching a business to do it the right way to be able to set themselves up to get credit financing. Now, that first step is crucial. It doesn't matter if you're getting business credit. It doesn't matter if you're applying for business loans, or it doesn't matter if you're buying for credit lines. You want to set up your business where you're fundable. So fundability is like the term that lenders use to basically determine if you're credible or not. They should lend you money or not. So, we all know that lenders, when their little wheel is turning, they're making a decision on whether or not to approve us or not.
Right.
Fundability is everything they're using in that decision. And it ultimately is the step before they look at your revenue, your credit score, your time in business. Is basically just how your business is structured. Like, what entity type did you set up? Do you have a business address? Do you have a business phone number? You have a business bank account? Do you have a website? Do you have a business email address, not like an AOL type of email address? Do you have a business license? Do you have a business bank account? Or are these things separated? Like, the idea of business credit is separating consumer and commercial credit. Well, the first step of separating consumer and commercial credit is to separate you from the business. You don't want to go in as a sole proprietor where you are the business using your home address and your mobile phone. And, in that case, you can't really build a separate credit profile because you are the business. So the first step is really to make sure that you clearly have a separate business from yourself, and you set up that business where it is legitimate, where it is credible, where it is fundable from a lender standpoint. And that's really the most crucial step to getting approved for any kind of credit.
So, and I want to make sure that I'm hearing this clearly from the audience, that when you go on the journey to set up your business credit, you need to have certain things in place so that business looks like it lives and breathes as its own entity. So that is a physical business address to an office with a commercial designation, a phone number, a website, that the entity is actually established as a professional entity. If there's licenses that you have to have, having those in place. It's making sure that all of those key elements are in order so you can become fundable to a lender or a credit card company.
Sure. If you think about it, I can go on sunbiz.org here in Florida. It'll take me about 7 to 9 minutes to go through their process and pay $70 to set up an Andy. I can do that right now. I can then go right behind that and go to the irs.gov, and I can get an EIN number in about 5 minutes more than that. So in about 15 minutes, I can officially have a business and I can have an EIN number. And because of the ease that it now is to be able to set up a business like that, and what lenders and credit issuers are looking at before they even think about revenue and time in business, credit, any of that, is just, are you a real business or are you like not a real business?
Right.
And everything you just described there is what separates a true business versus somebody that's just experimenting with an idea per se. And that's how SBA refers to a sole proprietorship. They basically say this is somebody that's experimenting with a business idea or a concept, not even a true business. But a true business actually launches as an LLC or a corporation, and it has all the things you described. It has a separate address and a separate phone number and a separate bank account. When you're doing all those things, then a lender or credit issuer clearly sees that you have a legitimate, real business that is not linked to you personally.
Excellent. Okay, that makes sense. Now, there's something that I've heard of in the ether, and I don't really know, so I'm going to go to you as the expert. I've heard that business classification is very important when establishing business credit. Is this true? If so, what business classifications should you seek out for your business? How do you provide the correct business classification?
So classification of a business is exponentially more important than just when it comes to business credit. So if we look at classification of a business, it's ultimately just determining the industry you're in. Let's say that, right? We started with SIC codes, SIC codes. As the internet came around, we had all these new industries that basically created, and the system morphed into what is now called the NAICS code, NAICS code. And the NAICS code ultimately determines the industry that you're in. Now, this is used a lot of different reasons. For example, the IRS uses this for audit purposes. So if you're submitting expenses, they're looking at your NAICS code and they're comparing it to others at the similar NAICS code, same industry, to make sure that there's no red flags, right? If you're submitting expenses that are way out of line with your industry, actually triggers audits. The SEC is looking at this. Everybody's looking at NAICS codes to see how your business behaves that might be out of sorts with others in your industry. The shocking thing is most people have no idea what their NAICS code even is. If I ask a typical business owner, what is your NAICS code? They truly either don't know what a NAICS code is or don't know what their NAICS code is. Or know what the actual number itself is. So that's really very important for everything you're doing in your business. When you are setting up the business initially, you should go and look at NAICScode.com. And then you should also do a simple Google search for high-risk NAICS code. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you are not in a high-risk industry, and you want to choose a code that is relative to what you do, but doesn't reflect your high risk. I'll give you an example. We are a software company. We also are the biggest in the space of business education. And we also obviously deal a lot with capital. So you could really look at us and put us in multiple NAICS codes. We could be an education company, we could be software, and then we could also be lending. We could be in the finance space.
Right.
We choose software because software gives us the best multiple if we ever go to exit and sell. But then it also is important because it's also not high risk. So we wouldn't choose education, not as good of a multiple if we exit. We wouldn't choose finance, very high risk when it comes to getting money.
Right.
But so we go with software. So ultimately, you oftentimes have choices of what you choose. You just want to avoid the high risk. You want to then go to NAICScode.com or NAICS.com. You want to do a search, find your best designator. And whenever anybody on paper asks your industry, the IRS, business credit reporting agency, lenders, credit issuers, you should put in there, I'm a software publisher, NAICS code 31142, whatever it is. That's exactly how that question should always be answered. That way you're not associated with industries you're not in. I don't want to keep going on and on, but even the business credit reporting agencies have comparison scores where they're comparing you against others in your industry. Lenders have restricted in industries. Lenders have prohibited industries. It's a mess when you don't know what your NAICS is because your scores usually are out of alignment. You're triggering IRS audits. Lenders and credit issuers find it harder to lend to you. That's why it's such a crucial thing to get done. And a great question on your part.
What's really interesting is that the codes for your business or the business designations for underwritings for banks, lenders, is incredibly important. I even see that in our world of payment processing is that sometimes a business, if they go to underwriting, does not have the right designation for what they actually do, an account can get turned down. This happens a lot of time with merchants who are with the Stripes and the Squares of the world, where they could be put into a box and all of a sudden their account is frozen. They can't access their money. Their account is shut down overnight, but they don't necessarily have someone to communicate with. So when figuring out what your NAICS code is or working with someone like you, it's really important because it does help your business get access to that capital. There's something that you talk about, which I think is really great, which are the 3 C's of lending. Can you elaborate on that for the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we look at a lender, what typically they're looking at, they're usually looking at one of 3 things. I call it the 3 C's because our audience just finds it's really easy to understand where you fit in with what you can qualify for. And that's basically cash flow, collateral, and credit. So when you understand the 3 C's, then it's easier to get financing because you're applying for the kind of financing you can get. So the way the 3 C's formula works is that lenders usually focus on one of the C's and they don't really care as much about the other C. So I'll give you an example. If I have consistent revenue in my business flow, then I want to go for something called cash flow financing. And cash flow financing is really only primarily looking at how I manage my cash flow. If I manage my bank account responsibly, if I don't have a bunch of NSS, if I have positive ending bank balance, more money going in than going out, all these factors they look at, well, I'm typically going to be able to get approved. I might even be able to get funding within 72 hours or less, even with bad credit. A lot of lenders don't even do credit check. They don't look at collateral. They don't look at anything other than the fact that my cash flow is consistent. Now, on another end, let's say that I have inventory. Well, then I can use my inventory to go out and get a credit line, leveraging the inventory as collateral. And in that case, they don't care about my credit score and they don't care about my revenue. All they care about is the asset itself, the collateral. So with the 3 C's formula, it's like you could figure out what your strength is, cash flow, credit, or collateral. You can get money based on that strength, even if you have weaknesses in the other area. Now, as you build a more established business, your consumer credit is improved, your business credit's established. Now you start to get all 3 C's. That's what opens up the best kind of loans, like SBA as an example, right? They want us to have collateral. They want us to have good credit. They want us to have cash flow verifiable on tax returns. So the closer we get to having all three C's, the more capital we can get through more different types of loan products. But the good thing is, even as a startup, I'm able to just use good credit or collateral alone to be able to get funding even from the beginning of my business. So that free seed program was just an easy roadmap for somebody.
So I want to make sure that I understand this in terms of the credit of the three C's. Can you use very solid personal credit to get business credit, but not have to sign a personal guarantee?
So if you're using consumer credit, so there's a couple different ways to answer. And let me give you an example. There's a program called Credit Line Hybrid. That's the most popular program we deal with for real estate investors. And we also deal with Credit Line Hybrid for startups.
Okay.
With Credit Line Hybrid, I have good personal credit. I come in and I get credit and financing for my business. Now, the nice thing is I'm able to get that financing at 0%. That reports to the business credit reporting agency. So it helps me build business credit, but I'm absolutely providing a personal guarantee. Here is an example, right? This is one of the first credit cards I ever got for my business using Credit Line Hybrid. I still use this today with my only business card that I actually carry in my wallet. This required good credit. It required a personal guarantee to actually get approved. So yeah, most of the time, if you're relying on consumer credit to make the underwriting decision, you are providing a personal guarantee in almost all cases.
Okay.
Now, the other side of credit is business credit, right? So when we talk about the three C's, we talk about funding you can get just based on personal credit, but there's also tons of money you can get just based on business credit as well. As a matter of fact, I like to tell a lot of entrepreneurs, if you don't have a C, then you make one. And you make one by creating business credit, because by building your credit profile and score, you now create an asset itself there with business credit that then helps you get money using the business credit building system.
Okay. So let's talk about the first and most crucial step in creating business credit. Is it going out and getting a store credit card or a 30, 60, 90 day type account with a service provider for businesses? What is the best step to get started in building that business credit?
The first step we never want to forget is to set up the business where it's fundable. And I'll come back and constantly reiterate that, because the problem is that this is a step. It's just, as entrepreneurs, our brains don't work this. We want to skip that thing. We want to get to the good stuff.
Yeah.
We're just like, but the problem is this is the thing that messes us up. Like, the fundability accounts for more than of all denial. All the denials for business lending, which is upwards of 90%, more than half of them are just because of fundability. Like, if somebody just fixes that, I could sit here for hours and tell you stories of people that just fixed that and went from denial on Amex to no limit Amex, denial on loan to $500,000 loan. It's all right there. That's what gets lenders to chase us and us stop chasing them. It's what gets us pre-screened offers. It's what gets us automated approvals. This is where everybody gets stuck. Now, let's say that we've already done that. We already talked about it, so we've already set up our business for fundable. Now, when it comes to building initial business credit, there is no right, wrong, or better or worse way. It just depends on what works for you. There's really three ways to do it. The first, Credit Line Hybrid, is an example. I'm able to come in and get 5 to 8 credit lines that report to the business credit reporting agencies using a guarantor or a guarantee from me or a guarantor and good personal credit to get approved. Now I'm starting business credit with $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 limit credit lines or higher. Great way to jumpstart business credit building. But I might not have good personal. A lot of entrepreneurs don't. We're risk takers, right?
Right.
And I might not want to provide a personal guarantee. Then I want to look at one of two other options. The other option is Dun & Bradstreet's Credit Builder. DNB's Credit Builder will allow us to take 12 accounts that we already have and add them to our business credit report. So for example, if you are working with HubSpot as your CRM, or maybe you're with an Infusionsoft, you could take your payments there and you can actually add them to your Dun & Bradstreet credit report by paying DNB monthly for their credit builder. You can do this with 12 accounts, and that can jumpstart at least your credit profile with DNB.
Wow.
And the third way, the most popular way to do this, is for what are called using starter vendors. Now, starter vendors are unique because they do two things. They'll, one, give you credit when you have none, right? We're always in this conundrum of how do I get money how do I get credit if I need a credit history to get credit, right?
Right.
Well, the conundrum is solved by starter vendors. They'll give us credit when we have none, but they report the credit to the business credit reporting agency, which is really important because over 90% of trade credit, over 90% of people that issue us credit do not report to a business credit reporting agency. So I talk to a lot of people about, multi-million dollar businesses that are denied because they don't have business credit. And they're astonished because all of these people have extended them credit. And none of that credit reports to a business CRA, credit reporting agency. So we want to use starter vendors that report to a business credit reporting agency that will give us approvals when we don't have them. Some examples here are Uline. Uline's been one of my favorites since I wrote the best-selling book on business credit over a decade ago. Love Uline. Love Granger. Granger will give me a $2,500 credit line. If I just opened my business today, they would give me a $2,500 credit line just because I have a business like that, which again goes back to that importance of fundability.
Right.
Another one, for example, CEO Creative. They sell a bag like this, and they sell office supplies amongst many other things. So there's a lot of these starter vendors out there that sell things that we normally would buy for our business. But the difference is they'll give us net 15 or net 30-day terms. They'll give us 15 days to pay them back, or 30 days, or Amazon, net 55, right, to pay them back. So these starter vendors will allow us to, they extend us credit. We set up an account online with it. We go buy the stuff we want to buy. We use our credit to buy it. We let them ship the credit to us, or ship the items to us that we purchased. Then we pay the bill. Then they take that payment and report to a business credit reporting agency. All three of these methods will work. The key is that we need accounts reported to a business credit reporting agency, Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, and/or Experian, to jumpstart the business credit building. Any of those three methods will help us do it.
So if you're looking to set up that business credit, those lines, I guess trade lines, would be really beneficial. CEO Creative, Granger, Uline, to go ahead and get a net 15, net 30 account and pay it off. Now, here's one of the key things that I know from going through the process of establishing business credit. Whether or not you need anything from the company, spend a couple $100s a month and let it get reported, because I have more mailing and stuffing and package equipment that I need in the loft in my garage. But I did it because I wanted to set up the business credit, and it was very, very helpful.
Sure. I have a stack of first aid kits from Granger. I have more batteries than what even my teenagers can even blow through. So it's interesting because when you talk about these places and people are like, I don't need outdoor workwear. Neither do I.
Yeah.
But I bought a really funny sign that I parked in front of my best friend's car that he absolutely loves that I got from there. Right. And then I'm able to come in and get batteries and first aid kits. So the key here is that when you're building initial business credit, if you find the right vendors, you legitimately can find what you need to buy. Office supplies, for example, networking solutions, computer solutions, even marketing services, website creation, ads. You can actually find her. But then in some cases, you're just buying things you normally wouldn't buy. Like you are. Like you said, I don't need a bunch of shipping supplies. I don't ship a bunch of stuff.
Right.
But it's worth it to me to give you $50 or $100 because they give me that trade line. That's that actual trade-off.
Yeah.
So try to find vendors that really sell stuff that you need to buy. And then, like you said, you might have to make a small sacrifice, but it's worth it for that trade line, because in a month, the next month, you're then able to start coming in and getting credit with really almost all of the major retailers start opening on a month into it.
Absolutely. So let's talk about some of the sources that actually offer some of the best business loans or credit cards or credit lines that are in the market today.
So there's a lot of them. And the way I like to describe this is like this. If we talk about the easiest and fastest forms to get capital, we talk about business credit cards, one. Okay. We talk about loans, typically second. Credit lines are some of the hardest to get in third. So what I like to tell entrepreneurs is that most entrepreneurs are trying to go out and get a loan or a credit line to pay for everything. They say, I need to launch a business and it's going to cost me $50K. And then they're trying to go get a loan or a credit line, a startup loan or credit line for $50K. It's completely the wrong way to do it. What you really want to do is you want to really map out what you're trying to get the money for. So if I'm launching my business here, then I need computers. I need a phone. I need my MacBook, which I don't actually have here. I need cameras. I need my printer. I need paper. I need my stand-up desk. But I need an office then, right?
Right.
So 100% of this, I could use business credit to buy 100%. I can get my computers here through Dell or HP. I can get my camera right here. I can get this through Best Buy. I can get my phone through a credit line with Apple. So you get the idea. Everything. I can get my furniture from IKEA. 100% of these can be bought based on business credit. So I always want to go down that path just because it's easy to get. And I'm able to get $10, $20, $30, $50,000 credit lines, for example, at all of these places. Now, the other nice thing is that now when I get my computer from Dell and my camera from Best Buy and I get this from Apple, Now I've got 5, 6, 7, 8 credit lines, and they're all reporting to the business credit reporting agency. And that's a very important point to business credibility. Business credibility in large part is driven based on how many accounts you have on that profile. So I want to split my spending up as much as I can across these different credit lines, because then what happens is the next credit line issuer, the next lender sees that I've got all this credit, using it all, that I'm really using it, buying, paying it down. That is a dream of what they're looking for. They want an established, credible business that's getting money and using it, and then paying it off and using a lot of it. And if you do that, that opens the door to loans and credit lines. So I'll stop there for a second in case you have thoughts, but then we'll get into loans and credit lines. But I always say that business credit will pay 90% of what you need to buy for a business. Spread it out using business credit first. Then you're dealing with a smaller amount of money you need loans or credit lines for. Then, depending on what you need the money for, determines the best lenders and types of lending for the loans and the credit.
Okay, so this makes a lot of sense to me. And it sounds like once you spread it out, you have that diversification, that's going to be key for you to get extended more credit. Now, once you set up a Uline account, do you have to use it for ever and ever, or can you use it for 3 months and just get the reporting? Is there any special sauce or technique in there when you have the trade accounts first?
There's 2 things to keep in mind. If you look at your business credit reports, one of the interesting things you're going to notice is that they do not have your credit limit on there. They have the recent amount of credit you've used. So the business credit reporting agencies are telling us that getting the credit and using it is really more important than what even the limit is. So we want to make sure, like you said, I tell clients, $50 or less is fine if you want. I like how you came in and said, spend $100, spend a couple $100. The more you're spending on that credit, the more credit issuers will approve you for with future credit, right? It doesn't matter if you have a $10,000 limit if you're only spending $100 a month. But if they see you're given a $2,000 limit, you're spending $2,000, then from their perspective, you need a higher limit. If I gave you a credit card with a higher limit, you're probably more inclined to use that one, right? The reason that this is the card in my wallet for business is my highest limit. We tend to default to our highest limit best card.
Yeah.
So the next credit issuers are going to see you're using it. They're going to want to give you more and more and more money. So using that credit is part of the equation. It's very, very, very important that you're actually using it as much as you possibly can. What are the main factors you really want to look at? Now, the business credit reporting agencies will stop scoring it if it hasn't been used for 6 months. For 12 months. Okay. So I tell our clients, use it every 6 months at least. If you wanted to calculate it in your score, the actual from the reporting agency's cutoff is 12 months. If you haven't used it in 12 months, it's not dropped from your report, but it's not calculated into your score.
So what I'm hearing from you, the key with business credit is because they don't report the limits that you have on your cars, get it, use it, pay it off.
Yeah. And the third part's the most important, because when we look at business credit scores, the main scores of the business credit reporting agencies are driven based on only how you pay your bills. I mean, the only factor they look at is how you pay your bills. But don't get me wrong. If I pull my D&B report, I can get 5 scores, and all 5 of those scores take into different things into account. We could talk for an hour about how business credit scores work. But the primary score from D&B, for example, Paydex, is 100% based on how you pay your bills. It is just a numerical number, numerical number. That doesn't even sound right, but I'm going to move forward anyway. It is just a number that reflects how you pay your bills on average during that time period. So you just need to make sure that you pay your bills on time or early. Remember, in the consumer credit world, I have 30 days before I'm late. Does not work that way in the business world. Like if I'm 1 day late, then I am 1 day DBT, day beyond terms. So I want to make sure I'm paying the bill on time or early. If I do that one thing, that gives me a good score. And that is what drives the interest rates that we end up paying on loans, credit lines, business credit cards as well.
Got you. So let me shift over to talking about taxes and the business. Is it important to show profitability in your business when you're going for the larger lines of credit?
When it comes to loans and credit lines, 100%. When it comes to business credit, it's no doc. We don't care.
Okay.
Business credit is not looking at like tax returns and bank statements and any income documentation. It's why we love business credit so much. It's easy to get. But when it comes to getting the best kind of loans, the best kind of credit lines, profitability really ties into it. You show me a business that has $1,000 in loss and show me another business that has $1,000 in profit. I'm going to show you the difference between a hard money loan and a loan that has way better terms, including lower interest rates, longer terms, more money, lower payments. So profitability is a big deal in a business. And here's why, because we all hide the money. I mean, it's all we do. The tax code was really created for businesses. You talk to any tax expert.
Yes.
Hey, but the thing is that you kind of get so big that you can't hide it anymore. Right. And everybody knows that you get to a point where you just have to pay taxes. Like you can't legally and ethically hide the money. And I mean, hide by, like legally doing it, like buying a year's worth of my software at the end of the year, but I'll pay taxes.
Right.
So when I say hide, I'm talking about legally and ethically. But you get to a point in the business where it grows, and you just can't do that. Like, you got to pay taxes because you're profitable. There's no other way around it if you're running a really good business. So that's why lenders look at it that way. The most established businesses are showing profits. Those are the businesses, your SBA lenders, for example, the major banks, those are the businesses that those banks really want.
So let's say that you are a business and you're at the point where the tax code just ain't working much for you anymore and you are profitable and you've got to take that profit. Are there ways to offset that, like investing in real estate?
Oh, absolutely. And there's a lot of those. And I'm not the guy for that, right? There's all kinds of tax strategies that even I deploy, and I'm sure you deploy, that help with that tax strategy of where the money is. For example, we just prepay everything. At the end of the year, we're buying software for the year at major discounts.
Right.
And that's where we typically start, is we go to get discounts on everything we buy by giving them the money in advance to being able to get discounts there. And then there's a lot of other ways, including real estate and other things we can get with airplanes. My private jet, for example. And it's surprising you could depreciate, I think, all of that within the first year that you actually buy it right away. So there's all different types of ways to be able to do it. But I'm just really imploring your audience to go get a private jet. It's really,
you know what, Ty, you are a man who's singing the tune that I love to hear, because I really am waiting for that day that I can. And the problem is I've done it a few times. So once you've flown private a few times, it really just messes up your life, because then you have to sit in an airport terminal and you're like, oh. So I digress. There are various ways that you as a business owner can offset that income through the acquisition of equipment, through planes, through real estate. I love what you said about pre-buying your equipment. I've seen companies that spend a lot of money on travel and meals and entertainment prepay for hotels, for a block of hotel rooms for an entire year at like a 50% discount, because the hotels can book it. They need to spend the money anyway. They get a discount for it. They've even done that with restaurants that they have relationships with, where they'll pre-spend $100,000 in a year and save 40, 50% because the restaurant can book that income day one. So there are a lot of really creative ways that as business owners, once you get to that point, you can do things like that to offset some of your income. So
absolutely. You can even funnel a lot of that through business credit cards, where you're getting points for all that, right? So now you're combining these strategies where you're getting the tax benefit and you're even wisely using credit in a way where then you're able to come out and be able to get all these points. Imagine paying $10,000 to Marriott on your Marriott Bonvoy card, what that does for your points, and how much now your personal vacation's covered for free if you want it to be, right? And of course, within the tax limitations, I'm not the tax expert speaking to that, but now you start combining these benefits of all the points and rewards and the tax strategy as well.
So let's talk about some real-time examples of how you've worked with businesses where they've used the creation of this business credit or access to funds to create more profitability in your business, because that's what our audience is most concerned about.
So I'll give you a recent example. So one of our clients, Christine, has surpassed $1 million in business credit. Really interesting story. She tried to do it on her own. She hired a few companies. She didn't succeed. I found her on social media, or she found me on social media, and she became a client and then started to build business credit. She has a transportation company. So she started to build business credit and very quickly started to get high limit lines at Best Buy and all the fuel stations and all the places. And they also had a construction business. So they were getting construction credit. They were getting fuel credit amongst computers and everything else that they needed. So when we first got started with her, she was a one truck operation, as a lot of truckers were. And what she brought to me was something I hadn't even thought about, quite honestly, with you, a benefit of business credit. But what happened in her trucking industry is when she started to establish this business credit, and then she'd go to bid on jobs, but she didn't know if they were looking at business credit when they were tied into the decision they were making.
Wow.
So all of a sudden, she started to get all of these contracts approved and get substantially higher contracts than she ever had before. And when we just talked the other day, she was on track. She was finishing the closing of a 50 truck operation.
Oh,
So she went from a 1 truck operation to a 50 truck operation. And like a lot of our clients, then blew up a second business at the same time on the construction side. So that's an example. Another of our clients did the same thing with a tow truck, ended up getting the money they needed using business credit to drive the way to go from 1 tow truck to 2 to 3 to 4 to getting a whole fleet of trucks on the road. So those are just 2 recent examples. Another one of our clients used business credit and financing. He was a doctor. He came to us to close down his business. For a client on closing it down, and he had $417,000 over tax lien. IRS is knocking on the door. Bank turned him down, 580 credit score. And with business credit financing, we were able to get him $1.5 million in funding. He paid off the IRS tax lien. He ran for public office as an independent. He opened another office. He's just a phenomenal doctor. Opened a second office, doubled the size of his practice. So those are just 3 recent examples off the top.
that's absolutely incredible. And I want to elaborate on that some more. But you have a really great quote, and it's with business credit, a business can fund itself. With business credit, a business can fund itself. Tell me what you mean by that.
What I mean by that is that we're used to, as entrepreneurs, having to come in and sign. We're used to having to provide a personal guarantee. We're used to our personal situation, our personal taxes, our personal credit, all these things being tied into the decision that are being made to fund the business. But the reality is when you're building business credit, you're truly giving your business the ability to fund itself, because that credit profile and score that you're using, you can able to come and get $10,000 to $50,000 limit, or even the higher credit cards that you're able to use for 90% plus of whatever you need to buy business. We have credit clients that are using and getting credit lines of $100,000, $300,000. So Christine, for example, just got a $300,000 credit line from a local vendor in her town based on business credit quality that now covers all of the supplies that they need on a regular basis to be able to maybe run and scale their construction business. So business credit really gives your business the ability to fund itself, because you go from not having a credit profile to then getting credit. Then you're creating a credit profile, which gives you more credit. Then the more you build the credit profile by getting more credit, the higher the limits, the more credit you get. And then ultimately, we have a client that got $350,000 the other day in Ford. He walked into Ford to get a car for his business. They gave him a $350,000 credit line. He ended up walking out and going, what do I do with this? Launched a Turo business, a rental car business as the second business. Never even thought about it before, right? And then he's a partner of ours, which means he offers business credit financing through us, using us as the back end. And he got the finance manager as a client, which surprisingly, a lot of finance managers become our partners' clients because they've never seen these things even happen before. So this is a guy that literally launched an entire rental car business, 100% funded based on business credit. Just love these kind of stories when they come in.
So it sounds like to me, business credit can be crucial for people's businesses. The fact that you can walk into Ford, I never knew that something like that existed. So mind blown right now. If you take a paver company, a window washing company, a landscaping company, their ability to scale is to ultimately more equipment, more trucks. So a 1 truck operation that's a landscaping company could establish business credit, go out and get lines of credit to buy an additional truck, hire more workers, pick up more business. That is massive for any and every business owner out there. The fact that you can use business credit to accelerate your business, huge.
It is. And it's really, and this is why it's all about the strategic use of capital. And so it is native, but we'll just talk about a tow truck business, right? So they want to blow out the tow truck business. So they go out and then they're building business credit. Now they're using it for marketing services right out the gate. They're able to go out and run Facebook ads in their local community, for example, to attract customers. One of our clients, Thelma, went out and got her initial starter vendors to use yard signs and flyers to promote local tax seminars. Then people would come and they would sign up, right? And give her the money that she actually needed to be able to then, for her tax services, to be able to save money on taxes or eliminate tax debt, then used it to compound. So we talk about the tow truck business, for example. Now they're using it for marketing. Now they need to go out and get that truck. Well, they go out and get specialized financing for the truck, auto financing, or even they're able to come in and use equipment financing for it. They're able to use the Visa or MasterCard they got with business credit to cover the down payments. So now they're no money out of pocket, right? Now they continue to build business credit. Now all of a sudden they're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars of credit that in auto financing, they're able to then go and extend their fleet. Right. So now we look at everything they're buying. Now they got a fleet. Now they got a dispatch. Now they need computers. Now they need laptops for every single one of their drivers, right? They need the electronics. They got an office set. They got to get furniture. 100% paid for by business credit at that part. Now they need to pay payroll. Business credit can't pay payroll, but that's okay. Everything else business credit's like covering for, right? So now they have the cash for the things the business credit won't cover. And now you can just see the ease it is to be able to expand and grow a business like that. And by the way, we're talking about a form of capital that anybody can get. Like if you have an entity in the US, you could start it today and get it. We're talking about the type of capital that literally was used to fund Walmart from ground up. Like if you ever read Sam Walton's book, he'll tell you the story. Like he would sit there when they would go in the back room, the poll was done in Bradstreet credit profile. That's how he got the money to be able to supply the actual stuff he sold in the stores today. And I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but 80% of what Walmart sells, they use business credit to buy. Think about that. Think about how strategic that is. 8 out of 10 items on their shelves, they're using business credit to buy. Then they use your money to pay off the credit. Then they save their cash and use it for stores. It's why they now have 10,000 stores. And if you read Sam's book, this is how he started. The entire company was founded and still today is driven by business credit. It actually has more value in Walmart than all their shareholder value combined in the company. Wow. So it just goes to show how big it can get when you're doing it right.
And this makes the way in which you're approaching this, because I believe that our audience, it has been my experience. So let me just speak for myself. Credit has always had a bit of a negative connotation because of the connection to personal credit and growing up not having that financial acumen, screwing up your credit, having to fix it, then using it, and it gets screwed up again, and having to fix it, and going through these cycles that we go through. And to your point, entrepreneurs are renegades, they're mavericks. They go out and they take chances, and a lot of times their credit blows up because of that. And in spite of it, they still build really strong businesses. But it sounds like to me, business credit really is that tool that can take you to the next level. And I'm going to give a shameless plug for my company. One of our partners, LoanBud, that we work with for our businesses that go out and get the SBA loans, what we're able to do on the payment processing side of the business and the savings that we can create from either reducing or eliminating credit card fees has allowed some of our business owners to pay for their SBA loan monthly payments. The same thing could go for those credit payments. Shameless plug there, I know. But there are so many different financial techniques. And you said the strategic use of capital, those strategic use of capital elements can propel your business to the next level. And it's not just about creating more profitability or more revenue right now. It's taking what you have as a business owner, using or being strategic with your use of capital through credit lines, through SBA loans, through payment processing to accelerate to the next level.
Yeah, it's funny because I just filmed the video on the same topic where I said, look, with consumer credit, I think business credit and business credit scores are extremely more valuable than personal credit. Because if we look at personal credit, you're obtaining debt for basically an improved quality of life, whether it be credit cards, car loans, or mortgages, right? Which is a great thing to have. Right? I like living in a really nice place, right? But business credit is really tied to your wealth. It really is what's tied to your net worth. I don't know about you, but me personally, my biggest aspect of net worth is my company, right? As a lot of us as entrepreneurs is. Yep. Well, business credit's what's building and compounding and what's helping me grow the asset that's accounting for the majority of my wealth and my net worth. And this is how all the big companies see it. Every one of them, there's a reason that every one of the largest publicly and privately owned companies is where they are. They understand this concept. So if I look at Apple at any given day, one of the most valuable companies in the world, then they have $130 billion in cash and $100 billion in debt. Why? Why would a company with 130 have 100 in debt? Now, Dave Ramsey steward would say, Apple, I know what to do. You take the 130 and drop that. But the problem is Apple wouldn't be the most valuable company if they did that. What they're doing is conserving cash for expansion, for R&D, for new product development, for stores, for retail stores. They all operate the same way. They use OPM masterfully with other people's money And then they conserve cash for things they can't use necessarily OPM for. And that's how they expand at an exponential rate. And the easier we understand that as small business owners, the more we can do the same thing, following the exact same concepts that they use to get to where they are.
Awesome. So you have just given us an incredible amount of information, and we're going to do something that we do fun at the end of each one of our podcasts, and we're going to do a rapid fire session. You ready?
I'm ready.
Sega
I was
Genesis.
born ready. And I'll tell you, born ready.
Born ready. Sega Genesis or stickball?
Sega Genesis.
If it's a zombie apocalypse and you've got to run out of the house and protect your family, what weapon are you taking with yourself?
Ooh, what kills a zombie? Will shotgun work? I take a shotgun if it
All
works.
right. Awesome. What is
that's a tough question. I have to have one.
I go with the flamethrower because I just feel like if you light stuff on fire, like there's a lot you can do with that, and it has a nice trajectory. What is
That's actually smart. I don't think I'd leave the house. So I'm on the 25th floor. Zombies can't climb. So I feel safe. I got one door to protect. And as long as I got enough firepower on that door. See, this is the part. You can't ask people with ADHD these questions.
Well, here's the problem.
My brain is so far down the road.
And now you're getting me off task because I want to have a conversation about this because I really don't appreciate zombies today. If you watched a zombie movie 30 years ago, they moved slowly and they were like, oh, I'm a zombie. Now they literally sprint down the street after you. How did that happen? I don't understand that.
I agree. You have no fighting chance nowadays. Like I remember the one where if you make noise, like they come after you. Like that was startling. Those guys move super quick. Like it's instantaneous.
Right?
They're on.
Right. What is one of your favorite business quotes?
Warren Buffett, that it's good to learn from your mistakes and it's better to learn from the mistakes of others.
Awesome. I love that. If you are to have dinner this evening with someone you admire, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
My dad.
Oh, awesome.
I mean, I live pretty far. I haven't lived in the same state as my folks since I graduated high school. So I still see him once in a while. But if I ever had a choice, I would sit down and have dinner with my dad.
That's beautiful. Make that happen. You have no excuse. I'm telling you to make that happen right now. Okay. So what is something that you see transpiring in your industry that you vehemently disagree with?
When I first got in this industry, I thought it'd be good for everybody to help other people understand how it works. Mm-hmm. And it saddens me now that people give so much misinformation for the direct trade-off of money. Mm. You know, people will say things that are adamantly untrue, that just because you have an LLC, you're entitled to $250,000 by law and buy my course to figure out how. Mm-hmm. That drives me crazy. Mm-hmm. It's just so unethical.
Yeah. Predatory. So if you are a business owner that's doing $10 million in annual revenue and Jared walks through the door and I hand you a $300,000 check, how would you advise that business owner to invest that $300,000 to double their profits?
Well, I think that depends on whatever they're doing now to give them the highest ROI. Mm-hmm. So whatever they're doing that would give them the best ROI right now is where I would put that money into scaling whatever that may be.
And we've talked about this on other segments. I know I'm messing up our rapid fire right now, but I love what you just said. As business owners, lean into what's working and making you money, which funnily enough, when you need to sell and you need to make things happen and you push, sometimes that little thing that you do, that push is actually what you should be focusing on in your business in general. So lean into that thing that is moving your business forward and invest that extra capital in that comes up. Last question, and one of the most important questions. Tell me one thing in your life or business that you had to overcome that has helped you build the success that you have today.
Well, the first company I ever owned was a mortgage company in the mortgage industry when it failed. Mm. So to me, it was one of the best experiences I've ever went through in my life. Horrid at the time, absolutely horrible. I can tell you things literally bring me to tears right now. Mm. But the best learning experience that I've ever actually had. And those lessons have carried with me and have humbled me enough to become a whole different kind of entrepreneur that I am today.
Beautiful. Ty, please tell the audience where they can reach you and connect if they would like to do so.
Sure. We are available at creditsuite.com. That's creditsuite, SUITE, creditsuite.com. And we've got a great step-by-step business credit building guide that gives even more insight. And we were able to dive in today at creditsuite.com/EIN.
Beautiful. Ty Crandall, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.